Hi and welcome everyone. This is Wylie at Lavender Sky Panther with you on Tuesday, March 17th, 2026. And I'm here in celebration of Ireland, all things Celtic and good in connection with nature and that, beautiful color of green and growth and luck and happiness and magic, all things fairies and mythological, mystical, and just all the good things that inspire wonder, imagination, and good vibes, essentially. So, in the theme of celebrating nature and all its goodness, its green gloriousness, I'm doing a little card reading today. I know I haven't done them too often in the past, but today just something called me extra to come and do this. So I'll get into what's on the table and kind of what's what. I mean, I've got a variety of different crystals. I've got some runes, some things about the Ogham, which is the tree alphabet of Old Ireland. And I have the little card spread, which I went ahead and in a meditative state did a pop-out method on the card decks to pre-select the cards. I just find it easier when I don't have the camera on a tripod. When I do this, I'm just holding the camera. It works better if I've already, flipped the cards over. But I did do the hop-out method on the deck, and it works out really beautifully. So I am going to just jump right into the reading. I will, in the description area below later, put in which decks I've used and the different sources. But for right now, let me just get into the reading while it's fresh. And then I have a few excerpts from some books I'm going to read. And that's going to be about it. For right now, I meant to bring some water on the table. For me, if we're going to be celebrating Ireland, the Emerald Isle, and there's so many ancient names for Ireland, and that's a very fascinating journey if you'd like to take it upon yourself to look on your own how many different ancient names for Ireland there are and what they mean. It's very connected to the woods, it's connected to the lush greenery, it's connected to the fae folk, it's connected to so many things. So I invite you to go check all of that out, plus gods and mythology, so many things. So I do want to leave it as quote-unquote fun work, not homework, for you to take that on and do some journeying around, adventuring on your own to see what really clicks in, meaningfully for you, for what Ireland means, truly means. We've been handed down stories of, St. Patrick clearing away all the snakes or dragons or whatever you want to call it. And really, there's just so much more to all of that. And the skewing of that story and what that truly means or can mean, is a dominating or malintending force over nature to try to tame it or eradicate it or exercise control over it. And of course, there's so many other deep and layered and nuances to all of this. And I don't really want to go down that path with it. What I want to do once again is celebrate this as a reconnection, a reminder to reconnect in with our roots and with the earth and just celebrate it and our harmony and living with it and within it, and how it nurtures us and how we can reciprocally bring beautiful energy to each other in a beautiful cycle. But anyway, let's get into the reading. So the basic setup is this. I have a crystal in the center, just as a little bit of a focal point, but it also ties all the aspects of what we're going to talk about together. So that crystal is called Malachite. Though I am not a fan of the name, I really feel like the essence of this crystal is demanding another name, because Mal, in the beginning, can be broken down to the root of it kind of meaning a bad thing. But what I would say is this stone is known for being able to absorb negative energies. So if maybe we can loosely, tie that together as the Mal part, as it taking in the bad energies and converting them. So it's a stone of transformation. It's a stone that does so many other things. For right now, I just want to go by what I am intuitively feeling off of this crystal, which is it's kind of the sum of all things nature. And so it's got some geometries that kind of allude to rings of a tree. It has some patterns that can, speak of the sky. To me, it's just kind of, or water, rippling of water. So for me, for this reading in particular, and this particular stone, I just want to say it's embodying all things and bringing balance and protection and harmony. Okay. And so anyway, so that's the center point of this reading. Now off to this side, that's going to be where we are at now. and then over to the other side here is where we are going as a collective. So this is just one reading for the collective. It's not a pick a pile or pick a group type reading. Then at the bottom we have the underlying or support energy for this reading, and above we have the overarching or kind of guiding energy of the reading. And they come from various decks, and I will put those in the description area below as I mentioned. Off to the left is a fairy-based deck, and on the bottom is kind of more of a nature and magic kind of deck. And over on this side we have more of ancient wisdom, excuse me, ancient wisdom from the elementals. And then above we have very tree intensive. So it comes from a book called The Insights from the Tree Alphabet of Old Ireland, which is the Ogham, Ogham. Okay, and actually I might as well mention it while I'm here, the backup and setup. I have a mug that I had on a previous Drinking Dragon show, just showing a little map of Ireland and some of its attractions or sacred sites and things. Next to it is a piece of selenite. And then over here I have some earthen pottery just to connect us down with that nature, theme with some little plant life on it depicted. And then we have over here I have a beautiful piece of jade, some smoky quartz. I guess I wanted to bring a little bit of fire energy in there and also connect it in with the earth. And we have a love candle, and I forget which candle is the little one in the back. I will put the scent in the description area below. And then I've just felt to call in to bring in some selenite all over the place. This is a beautiful stone. Oops, well, you can hear it, it's solid. It's called prehnite, and that reminds me just like of little blades of grass and other type of botanical energies, within this crystal. It's got some very interesting properties. I don't want to go over all the properties of the crystals in particular today. I'll put some in the description area below, but I also want you to feel it out, like what kind of feeling do you get off of these crystals when you see them. And this is a piece of what's called serpentine. I've had this in a previous show. It's not polished, so you can't see the true vibrancy of that green color, but it comes in varieties that can be yellowish or brownish and whatnot. Then I have a series of, I have a bunch of runes strewn about, and these are all put on little wood chips. Now I looked everywhere to find my Ogham. I have actually the tree alphabet on a little miniature. It's in other previous shows. I'll put a link to a previous show where I do show them. They're little pieces of wood off of each tree, because the Ogham is an alphabet that incorporates 20 different trees. So you might have willow or aspen, and they're all different kinds, and with the specific alphabet character on it. And I have a little mini set of little staves of each pieces of the wood with the corresponding Ogham character on it. And I don't know why I couldn't find it, but anyway, just didn't want to be here today. All right. So let's get into this, and I'm just going to do a very quick little kind of, hopefully quick and breezy little overview. I didn't want this reading to be too time intensive, but let's get into it. So looking at, let's start with where we are. So what's fun about this is I did just do this on the random pop-up method, just kind of shuffling the deck and concentrating on what the collective needs to hear right now. And these two cards popped out. And so we have number 10, the wheel, and number 7, the chariot. And I just smiled because right away we got a beautiful harmonious message here, because we have a 17, which is the date today for St. Patrick's Day, right? So it starts off with the wheel, and we have a little butterfly fairy and beautiful blossoms in the background. A lot of beautiful imagery in here. And it says, delays are over, sudden or unexpected good luck, a new car or travel. So again, this is very fitting for today's reading on the luck aspect, right? Sudden or unexpected luck. And we also see that we've got a lot of heavy transformation intensive symbolism in here, plus blooms and blossoms, meaning that we're moving from maybe, a darker time, literally, like with winter, we have the shortest days, and that we're moving into the light, because we have light coming in from the upper right-hand corner of that card. And we have a wheel showing that something is in motion. And, that moves us over toward the chariot, which also has the wheels. I kind of want to read these together because they really came out wanting to be together. We have also the wings of this figure, over here. And we have, winged figures that look like happy little oversized bumblebees instead of horses drawing this chariot. And so once again, it's very much about transformation and springtime intensive and in motion forward. And this one also talks about success that comes from dedication and self-discipline, celebrating your accomplishments, being in the spotlight. Boy, there's a lot here to talk about, but I'm just going to try to sum it up with, yes, it's time to celebrate our accomplishments. Do not look backward. This is all very forward motion energy, so we're not looking back at things where we might have feel like we fell short. And I say it that way because a lot of times we are our own worst enemy in judging ourselves and putting judgment on a thing like, oh, I should have done that quicker, or why haven't I done that yet? I should have done it. Why, all of these should have, would have, could have. It's time to drop those off and leave them behind. Look at where we are now. And know that in any given moment, we can change things up. We can change up energies. So say, and I'm speaking to myself on this one too, say there's been something that, you've been meaning to do. You say it's within your own household. Let's just take the topic of decluttering or donating or doing things that you've wanted to do to quote unquote lighten the load. We see this chariot, it's up in the sky. It needs to be very light. So it's kind of like that analogy if you're looking at, excuse me, a hot air balloon, that can't rise up if it's got all the sandbags all over it. So we need to kind of cut off some of the sandbags. But say some are very emotionally loaded, like say you have a bin of a loved one that's departed or, transitioned off this earth. It could be recent. It could be from several years ago or longer. And you just haven't, there's just something in you that hasn't been ready to even open that box or look in it to, sift through and see what you can let go. That's okay. Again, no judgment on ourselves. That just brings heaviness down into the earth. But just know that today is a new day. We do have spring energies now supporting us. Now, pardon me, I'm talking about Northern Hemisphere centric. So I don't mean any offense to all of you beautiful people down in the southern, not down, but in the Southern Hemisphere, where you have a completely different energy and season and all of that going on. But you know what I mean. And so, this is about, spring energies supporting us now, or the idea of spring energies if you don't actually physically experience them. We can also get into that state of being where like, okay, now is the time, to let's move this along and bring in the new. Because one of the main things is in our process of going through things and letting things go and unburdening ourselves is that we are making more room for the things that we do want, right? And so anyway, but no judgments. We all take the time we take, and sometimes it does just take a little time. This message is just a, little gentle reminder that for those of us who have seemed to been a little stuck in that process, and we know we'll feel better and lighter with this stuff moved on and out of our life, this is just a friendly little reminder that now is a good time for it. And if you need extra support and nobody's around, I'm sending you right now from my heart space extra energy and everything that you need to move through it. You can also ask your divine team, kindly give me this extra boost. You know my heart. I really want to get this done. Kindly bring in extra energy, and a boost to help me move through all of this. And sometimes that does work and helps. And if it doesn't, maybe it just means it's not supposed to be done today. And also, we can always start little by little. These aren't, raging, powerful steeds with big horsepower behind them. Yeah, they're bees with massive wings, but they're not going to travel as fast as, a horse, or like we're saying in this energy on the Chinese calendar of the fire horse. This isn't fire horse energy. It's determination, but it's moving through things with happiness, without struggling, with doing it when you're in a good frame of mind and in a good energy. All right, so anyway, we've talked about this. So this is where we're at. Maybe the wheel isn't spinning fast as we're making change right now, but it's gotten dislodged. So it's unstuck and it's starting to turn, and it's going to move and hum and sing along at a pace that we wish to see and bring with it, like these, bumblebees. So anyway, try to, if this message is for you, just try to be in the frame and space of mind where you see a beautiful vision of a beautiful path ahead, and things are just singing and humming along, and they don't feel like efforting, okay? All right, now, let me move over here. So that's kind of the where we are energy. We have the beautiful pulsing and, beautiful growth energy of that stone in the center. And then we're going to move over here. Actually, before we move over there, I want to go to the overall overarching energy of reflect. So obviously, this requires whatever we're moving into, we need to pause for a moment and reflect on what do we want to really bring in, for the future, and what can be kind of left, off to the side as we grow. This is representing the aspen tree. Of course, we've got tons of leaves, and if they all stay on the tree as we move forward and grow, then that's counterproductive for the tree. The tree needs to periodically shed the leaves to allow more to come in, to keep ever growing upward. So that's back echoing the message. Yeah, we need to kind of shed a few things, and it's okay in our own timing. So we're going to do a lot of reflection right now, because also from a different point of view, we are in a spiritual awakening as a collective. The collective consciousness wants to abandon all things that are in the negative and things that we didn't even know we were living with on this planet. Actually, we're in a time of revelations where we're seeing a lot of kind of dark things, evil things have been hiding, some hidden in plain sight, some more obscure. And the more we see them now, we are looking at them straight in the eyes and saying no more. It's time for them to go away. The collective consciousness does want to bring in and embody and live it beautiful golden spark energy, beautiful loving energy, harmony with nature, not abuse of it, etc. And so this is time to really reflect on that, and whatever we see, not to fear it, but to look at it. And like we're talking about some of these transformative energies going on over here, we look at it so that we can transmute all of that energy into the more positive and loving way forward, and basically kiss goodbye the old and negative stuff. We don't have to vilify and demonize it and wish it ill, because that's not where we're headed, and that only brings it back onto yourself. What we can do is rise above it, transmute the energies. We transcend that energy of anything negative. We look at it as an omniscient observer, not, directly affected by it. We're not wounded by it. We're not on the game board. We rise above the game board and look down and see it for what it is and for what it isn't. And so we don't take it personally. We can rise up above, look at it and say, wow, that was pretty dark, but apparently this dark thing, did play your role expertly. We needed the role of duality so that we could see it for what it is and choose differently. And that's where we're at now. So we can just wave goodbye, and not take it personally anymore, and send it on its way, that we don't need to see it again. So anyway, that's all part of the reflection and the growth. Again, this is a collective reading, so we're talking about the collective consciousness. All right, so now let's go to where we're headed. Now this set of cards gets very interesting, and this comes from this deck, the Celtic Spriit Oracle, and I'm going to read a little bit from it because it is really interesting, and there's some subjects in here that I'm not really familiar with, so I may, dip into the book a little more. But what I like about this is it's also about transformation, because over here we have the she. Actually, I'll just read all three right now. That looks like Sidhe, but it's pronounced the she. It's number 33 or 6, and we have ancient knowledge, help, and dimensional. And here this figure is holding up a spiral, and that's very much used as an image for traveling into other dimensions, like a portal is the word I was looking for. Okay. And then we have, number 27 or 9, the pentagram, protection, balance, unity. And I want to read this from the book because some people have gotten a negative impression of the pentagram. It's been distorted out there and popular in, mainstream culture. And so I just want to read, the original kind of meanings of it, so people are aware of that. And we have like a star at the top. And again, that's very much all of this is kind of like the wheel imagery, that we've had in, on the other side with the wheel and the chariot, right? And then we come back to yet another circle over here in kind of wheel energy. And this is a beautiful white stag, number 14 or 5, shape-shifting, support, and other world. Now, I'm not going to read this one from the book, but this one is talking about the balance of the masculine energy coming in to aid and support the feminine energy. So it's really beautiful there. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little bit from these first 2 cards. And before I do, the overall summing of this is where we're headed. So we have transformation. I'm going to come back over here. Is, kind of happening in a very earthly way as we're moving from the very earth-intensive density of the 3D. And then we're, reflecting on what we do or don't want. And then now we're moving into, this is also another form of transformation, but more of an interdimensional thing. So now we're getting into, our eyes are being opened that yes, there are galactic support. There's ET family out there. And there are things like portals that people are coming into awareness of, that we can move into other dimensions, especially while we're sleeping is a great message for that. As we know, as you're dreaming, a lot of us are actually going into different places and dimensions. And it's, you can look up the whole concept of astral travel, and there's some dreams that just feel so real versus others that don't, and we're starting to distinguish between ones that may be actual experiences in a different dimensional state of being versus things that just might be our mind on overdrive or working or seeing symbols out in the world, and they kind of flood our imagination and our mind. So we're in a very fascinating time. We're literally moving through the 3D on our way to the 5D and becoming the sum of all of it. So it's not just, oh, I'm in the 3D or I'm in the 5D. We're bringing all that we embodied in the lessons and the wisdoms of the 3D with us in whatever state we move into. And all of this is, it involves our reflection on where we want to be or where we don't want to be, but mainly focusing on the where we want to be and which, where we're moving forward, and just kind of dropping off the rest behind. But it's also, we've got the support energy down here of tend, and this says maintenance, encouragement, and guidance. We have a very strong grounding energy, but also it's a wisdom energy. So, yes, we need to tend to our things. We need to look at and reflect on what we are doing and tend to it, and put our energy where we want to see things grow. They say, like, what is the phrase? It's like, you want to water things where you want to see them grow. And in this case, it's yes and no. It's like, yes, we need to put our time and intention on where we want things to grow and tend to it. But we also, there's a wisdom in there where where it's time to till the land and there's time to leave it alone. It's said that if you plant seeds and you continually try to like till them or dig them up, they're never going to grow. So it's the wisdom in knowing the balance of when to put our energy on something and when to completely surrender and walk away and let it go and trust that it will grow, because so much does just grow on its own without our intervention or without our attention. So anyway, let me try to bring this back all together. So we've got our transformations involved with our collective right now. We need to really kind of focus on where we're headed and and create a vision of what we want to see, of where we go next. We have the energy of knowing that we can dig down in and earth in and connect still in with the 3D, but know that we might be moving into more of an otherworldly 5D situation. But either way, we're always going to be embodied in something. We have our God spark or spark of life. We are always going to be who we are. We don't leave that behind. And we can ground in that and know that and trust that to be true. And with that wisdom and with that knowing of who we are, we know that there are times where we can have influence on things and times where we just need to let it go and just, kind of float, if you will, into the 5D. And we're going to be discovering so many other things, coming up on the horizon. Actually, we already are. All right, so now let's go back to, I just wanted to read a couple things in more detail on the she and the pentagram, so let me do that. And then I'm just going to read maybe one overall little poetry type thing at the end, just again, since this is about celebrating nature. And I kind of already got too intensive on this. I wanted to make it a little more easy breezy, but oh well. All right, let me read the pentagram because there's a lot of confusion around that for some people. Even for myself, I found this kind of enlightening. So let's go ahead and read it. You know what? I'm going to put the camera over here on this little setting while I read over off camera because I've got to put it up in the light and it's a little hard to hold the camera and do both. So bear with me. So the pentagram, it says here, protection, balance, and unity. The pentagram is a beautiful symbol which illustrates the harmony between the 5 elements. Within the, they're calling it within the pagan, or I would just say natural community, because there's a lot of energy loaded around that other word as well. Let's see. So it's okay. So within the elements are air, represented by a feather, earth, crystals and soil, fire, a candle, water, a shell, and Spirit. And this is talking about the symbols on the card. I'll go back to it in a minute. The pentagram is also used in Chinese medicine to represent their 5-element theory, which comprises of fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. The pentagram is also often associated as a symbol of protection. When you draw this card, it is asking you to find balance and unity within your life. Where are you out of balance, and what do you need in order to bring back harmony? Are you too fiery and quick to anger? Maybe you're lacking motivation or the fire to achieve what you desire. Are your emotions flowing like the water element that they are? Are you holding back tears, or do they keep flooding out? Maybe you are feeling a bit scattered and need some grounding, or perhaps you are lacking guidance and need to work with Spirit more. Have you become rigid and need to be more fluid like air and move more? When we bring things back to a simple approach of looking for what is not balanced, we can begin to seek out for ourselves that which will bring back balance to our lives. Call on the element you need to help you. Go in search of where the elements reside. Seek out a natural creek, the sea, a lake. Garden and get your bare feet on the earth. Light a fire, a candle, or keep warm if you need to. Seek out places where you can be in the wind and ask for it to take your cares away or help you to be more flexible. The pentagram can also signify that a union is here or awaits you. The pentagram should always be seen as a symbol of positivity, and if you are in need of protection, the pentagram is your symbol. Wow, so that was even more than I thought. Very beautiful, beautiful. Now, what I'm looking for the right phrase, not a backstory, but, backing for what the pentagram is. And so I will just leave it at that. That is standalone and says it all. Okay, now let me look at, and I'll go back to the card. So what they were talking about here was the 5 elements, and then you see all the different things they were talking about, the feather, the fire, the shell, the crystal, etc. Okay, now I just wanted to read a little bit more on this, the she, ancient knowledge, help, and dimensional. So again, it's going to be that spiral. And again, I'm going to put the camera over here with a little bit of fire and flame. It's more fun to look at than when I'm trying to read this over in the light, so hang on. I didn't want to read the entire passage here. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to read the very beginning of this, and this will be an invite for you to do, again, fun work and use it as a springboard in our spirit of spring here to look into it further if you wish. All right, so as I said, it's the she, and it's ancient knowledge, help, and dimensional. So it says the she means people of the fairy hills. The she are considered to be the original fairy race and were seen as ancient Celtic gods, also known as the Tuatha or the Tuatha, meaning tribes of the gods. They were said to have come from the clouds. I've got a page turn here. But this is shrouded in mystery. This race was known for its supernatural powers and incredible skills. When the Tuatha decided to leave the physical plane, they journeyed underground and became known as the she, now known as the gods of the earth. She literally means mound, and so the she are associated with the mounds, burrows, and cairns. The she were also called the hill folk, wee folk, good folk, and fair folk, which was later shortened to fairies. Hence, the she are the original fairy race. Okay, now I'm going to stop there. So there's a lot around some of these groups in mythology. So I'm not sure if these beings that they're referring to here, if they're not the equivalent of like the Greeks' Olympian gods, I don't know. And it's a very slippery slope when we start looking back at who some of these gods, quote, gods were or weren't. Were some of them ETs? Were they benevolent? Not so much, or a mixed bag. So I'm not going to get into that for now, but that's just a little passage to maybe, again, springboard you into some more knowledge and do some digging around and doing research on your own. There's so much depth and layers and so many facets to the whole, origins of Ireland and the Celtic, Gaelic language even in itself. There's just so much to it, so many stories and lore to really swim around in and have a good time exploring. All right, so I'm going to conclude this little reading on just with a little beautiful poem out of this, and I'm going to put it in the description area. This comes from Roots Insights from the Tree Alphabet or Ogham of Old Ireland by Olivia Wylie. This is the card deck and book that come here, that match this card. It comes from there. So let's just go ahead and do one more little poetic reading here, and then I'll sign off. So just wanted to leave you with this. The voice of the wind against the branchy wood, upon the deep blue sky, falls of the river, the note of the swan, best of all music. And I'll cite where that comes from in the description area below. So that's it for now. Whatever you're doing today, may you be able to connect with the sky, with the elements, actually all the elements. Get out in nature, touch a tree, walk on the grass, or if there's snow where you are, do something that celebrates the snow. Make a snow angel or do something. But there's so much that can be done and embraced today on this day, celebrating and connecting with nature, at least from my point of view. All right, well, as always, I wish you all tremendous peace and love. And until next time, have a beautiful right now. Lavender Sky Panther.